The hospital room felt smaller than it should have, as if the walls themselves were drawing inward to listen. The steady, soft beeps of the monitors counted down like a metronome no one wanted to acknowledge. My father lay in the center of it all, frail beneath a thin blanket, his chest rising and falling with effort that seemed borrowed from somewhere far away. We were all there, my siblings, aunts, uncles, cousins, a loose circle of faces pretending the years of distance and quiet resentment had dissolved in this final hour. I sat closest, my fingers locked around his hand, feeling the thin skin and the faint pulse beneath it. Tears tracked silently down my cheeks. I didn't bother wiping them away. My wife stood near the back wall, half in shadow. She hadn't spoken in nearly an hour. Her arms were folded tight across her chest, gaze pinned to the linoleum floor as though studying a crack only she could see. Everyone waited for a final blessing, a memory, a goodbye that would make the moment feel meaningful instead of unbearable. Then my father's eyelids fluttered. His eyes opened, not the cloudy, distant stare of the last few days, but sharp, clear. He swept his gaze slowly across the room, past my mother's bowed head, past my brother's clenched jaw, past every expectant face, and stopped on her. A small, unfamiliar smile touched his lips. Not warm, not comforting, something quieter, almost resigned, like a man who had carried a secret too long and finally decided to set it down. In a voice so thin it barely carried, he whispered, "Finally, you know what you want, but you don't know what awaits you." The air in the room seemed to vanish. My wife's head snapped up. Color drained from her face so quickly I thought she might faint. She took one small, involuntary step backward, her shoulder brushing the wall. I turned to him. "Dad, what does that mean?" But he wasn't looking at me anymore. His eyes, still startlingly lucid, remained locked on her. Steady, knowing, almost pitying. She made a sound, barely audible. "Oh, God!" His fingers slackened in my grip. The monitor changed its rhythm. A long tone followed. Then another. The room exploded into motion. Nurses rushing in, my mother crying out, my brother reaching for her. But I couldn't move. I couldn't look away from my wife. She slipped toward the door while everyone else surged forward. Her hand trembled as she pushed it open and disappeared into the hallway. I watched every step. My brother wrapped an arm around my shoulders. "Ethan," he said softly. My mother pressed her face into my chest, sobbing. None of it reached me. All I could hear was the echo of those words. All I could see was the way he had looked at her, not confused, not lost in morphine haze. Certain. She had left the room like someone escaping a crime scene. 2 days later the house was full again. Relatives carrying casseroles, offering hugs, murmuring the same platitudes over and over. I nodded, thanked them, moved through the motions. But my attention never left her. She drifted through the rooms like smoke, never staying long in any one place, never meeting anyone's eyes for more than a second. Her phone stayed in her hand constantly, screen angled away whenever I came near. She slept on the far edge of the mattress, back to me, breathing too shallow to be natural. Suspicion didn't creep in. It roared. On the third night, long after the last guest had left and the house fell silent, I found her in the kitchen. She sat at the table in the dark, elbows on the wood, staring at nothing. Her hands shook faintly around an untouched mug of tea gone cold. I stood in the doorway. "Tell me what he meant." She startled so hard the mug rattled. "Ethan, please, stop." "Your father didn't like me," she said quickly. "Maybe he just wanted to hurt someone one last time." I stepped closer. He never lied. Not ever. Especially not then. She closed her eyes. Her shoulders began to tremble. The next morning I drove to the hospice to collect his personal effects. A nurse I hadn't met before caught me in the hallway. "Mr. Price," she said gently, "your wife, she came to see him. Twice. Alone. Late at night." My pulse thudded in my ears. "When?" "Both times after visiting hours." She didn't sign the log, but we remember her face. She looked frightened. I drove home gripping the wheel so hard my knuckles ached. Every late-night walk she'd taken the last few months, every sudden tense silence, every time she'd flinch when my phone rang, they rearranged themselves into something else entirely. That night I found her on the edge of our bed, clutching her phone like a lifeline. Her knuckles were bloodless. "We need to talk," I said. Ethan, her voice cracked. Please don't. Harder than what? I asked. Harder than lying to a dying man? Harder than sneaking in to see him alone? She winced. He said something to you, I continued, during those visits. What was it? She swallowed. He told me I had to do the right thing, before it destroyed you. Destroyed me how? She shook her head, frantic. I thought I could fix it alone. I thought I could keep you safe. Safe from what? Tears welled, but they weren't soft tears. They were sharp. Guilty. I made a mistake, she whispered. A long time ago. One I thought was dead and buried. My jaw tightened. What kind of mistake? Before she could answer, her phone vibrated hard against her palm. She froze. One glance at the screen and every muscle in her body locked. I stepped forward. Who is that? She pressed the phone to her chest. No one. But I had already seen it. The name that flashed before she hid the screen. Mr. Hayes, final notice. Everything inside me went cold. Give me the phone. Ethan, no, please, not now. I held out my hand. I didn't shout. I didn't move closer. I just waited. She stared at my open palm for what felt like forever. Then, slowly, she placed the phone in it. The lock screen lit up again. Mr. Hayes, final notice. 48 hours remaining. I opened the messages. She didn't try to stop me. Years of text scrolled past. Demands, threats, payment reminders, escalating, merciless. She sank into the chair behind her, hands covering her face. I was going to tell you, she sobbed. I swear I was. I kept reading. The amounts weren't pocket change. This wasn't a small debt. This was extortion stretched over years. Who is he? I asked quietly. She looked up, eyes hollow. Someone who was supposed to be dead. My heart slammed against my ribs. She continued, voice shaking so badly the word fractured. When I was younger, before us, I got involved with someone dangerous. I tried to leave. He wouldn't let me. He said he'd ruin me unless I paid. I thought he died in prison. The police told me he did. I believed them, until the messages started again. I stared at her. Your father knew, she whispered. He told me the same thing he told you that night. You don't know what awaits you. And he said, Hayes isn't finished. My father's strange, knowing smile flashed in my memory. Not a riddle, a countdown. I sat in his old study the next hour, surrounded by the smell of cedar and the ghost of his aftershave. Files lined the shelves in perfect order, the way only he kept things. If he had known, there would be proof. I found the folder near the back of the bottom drawer. Hayes. Inside were decades-old reports, court documents, surveillance notes, and one photograph. My wife, younger, softer, standing beside a man I didn't recognize. Both smiling, not forced, not afraid. She appeared in the doorway behind me. When she saw what I held, she gasped. That's not what it looks like. I lifted my eyes to Hayes. Then tell me what it is. She wrapped her arms around herself. Your father knew me before you did. The room tilted. He worked a case, she said, voice barely above a whisper. Hayes was laundering money. Your father built a file that sent him away. Hayes thought someone close betrayed him. He thought it was me. That's why he started with me. But when he learned I married you, when he learned I married into the Price family. Her voice broke. He isn't coming for me anymore, Ethan. He's coming for you. Silence stretched between us, heavy and suffocating. No more half-truths. I said, everything. Now. She sank into the chair across from me. Your father wasn't warning me that night in the hospital, she said. He was warning you. Hayes blames your family, blames you by extension, for everything he lost. The extortion was just the beginning. He wants revenge. He wants to destroy you to punish your father's memory. I looked down at the photo again, at the smile I had never seen on her face before. When is the deadline? I asked. Tomorrow, she whispered. I nodded once. Good. She stared at me, confused and terrified. Good. I stood. The calm that settled over me felt like my father's calm, the kind he wore when the evidence was irrefutable and the verdict already written. "I'm not sending him money," I said. Her eyes widened. "Then what?" "I'm giving him what is actually wanted all along." She stepped toward me, voice trembling. "Which is?" "Closure." The next morning, Hayes arrived at the agreed place expecting a wire transfer and a broken man. What he found were 2 federal agents, the full dossier my father had compiled years earlier, updated, annotated, and delivered by me in handcuffs. He didn't even make it to our doorstep. Later, after the police cars disappeared and the street returned to quiet, I stood in the driveway looking at the house. My wife watched me from the porch, arms wrapped tight around herself. I walked up the steps slowly. She searched my face. "Are we okay?" I looked at her for a long moment. "I don't know," I said honestly, "but we're still here, and he isn't." She nodded, tears slipping free again. Inside, on my father's desk, the thin folder still lay open. I closed it gently and slid it back into the drawer. Some warnings come too late. Others arrive exactly when they are needed.